So they keep talking about this and saying how it looks like I sh- I have like I put something so it looks like a fireplace or whatever. I'm going to put the light on in a moment, but they keep talking about this. And that's part of something that I feel they do. I think what they do is talk about the same things over and over so much that you kind of get tired of hearing about it. So let me pause this and I'll tell you more. So they said many years ago now, they said I was 16. So if it couldn't have been when I was 16 because when I was 16, I had a little summer job for a few weeks and then I got the chicken pox and we went over this already. So it couldn't have been when I was 16. I had to be younger than that. So that would have been if it wasn't in 1987, 88, 89. Let's see. Probably before 1989 because in 1987 I turned 14 in December. So December 1987 I was 14, 15 December 88. So it had to be before 1989. They said I was going on and on and on about something. And I can't explain to them how this proves me right again. They go on and on and on and on about things. I mean, we were still talking about topiary, you know, and I would have been in every video talking about topiary. So for them to go on and on and on and on, it means weeks, months, years now. And they're talking about something from before 1989, years later. If I'm having a conversation and I'm talking about something and maybe I'm upset about something, and in their minds that means I'm going on and on about it, that's not true. So part of what they said is they didn't want me to tell these things publicly because people who know me know I don't go on and on and on about something. They said when I was a flight attendant, which would have been 1996, again, here we are years and years later, they're talking about the same stuff. I was trying to get my coworker who we used to go shopping together to admit that I helped get some bargains. Well, I did help get some bargains and she helped get some bargains, but she even said, I get some bargains and she said, she liked to go shopping with me. And so when they're saying that I would go on and on and on and on and get about something because I wanted to sort of be acknowledged, I think that's very human. You know, part of why I wanted to do this, besides, they said, well, you said in a video in 2022 that all I wanted was to expose this. Well, I'm entitled to feeling that way in 2022, just like now in 2024, I'm entitled to feeling the way I feel. Part of what I'm saying about this group is that they don't want human emotions. And this goes back to someone left a really good comment about transhumanism. And when I started to research it, I think it is true. I think these are the types of people who don't like human emotions. So they want us to become like AI. Or if we can't become like AI, just no longer interact with humans and interact with robots and computers. And I think that would be a horrible way to live my life. Even when I was younger and the computer was coming about and I was a kid, I really didn't like it too much. These are the type of people who got so immersed in fantasy world, not in like a movie, but in like their reality, that I think that they're the ones who don't want to deal with true human emotions. There's a degree of fantasy that everyone likes, the idea of a fantasy world, but then you have to deal with human emotions. And part of why I like the types of fantasy movies that I do like is because it doesn't get rid of human emotions. I think what it does is it helps people understand human emotions when it's sort of in a fantasy world, meaning not to eliminate humans and human emotions and just deal with computers and video games and technology, but to incorporate humanity and use those things to help humanity, which is I thought was why this was exist brought into existence. Now I think it isn't to help us. I think it's to stop us from being human. So I think it's a very human emotion to want be to be acknowledged when you help somebody and you're genuinely helping someone, not like this where they were putting they said light bulbs over my head while I was sleeping over. That's sick. It's just weird, sick stuff. and trying to get me upset so that I would act out and do something wrong that they can then decades later say, you did this wrong on this date. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. You know, I'm shocked by it. The other thing they said is that I don't have friends. And that bothers me, yes. But then on the other hand, it doesn't. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, the things that they're saying would bother them more than me. And as much as they want to pretend that they're in a better place in their lives emotionally, I don't think so. I think there's some sort of lack of acknowledging there's a problem with them. And I think it's easier for them to look at the problems in other people than to see the problems in themselves. There's really a lack of accepting that if these types of this type of technology exists, and very few of us knew about it, but we were getting stuck in a world where you don't know this technology exists. People aren't acknowledging there's an issue, and then suddenly now everyone's acknowledging it and people know about the technology, but these people knew about it before. They don't want to accept that they were part of this system, and now that we see them and we know them and we can tell that they would have kept this fakeness going on forever if they could have. It changes everything. So they're not replacing us with computers because they think computers are there to help us. They're replacing us with computers because they don't want us. You understand what I mean? I think you guys get it, and I don't want to go on and on about it, but that's part of my process. My process of dealing with my emotions is to discuss it, and this way I don't have to carry it for 40 years. When they were going on and on about whether when I was a little child I laughed at someone who first they said it was on crutches. Then they said was missing a leg. Then it was someone missing a leg on crutches. It's not funny, but it's funny how they wouldn't understand that that's normal. Like all of these things are normal things. Like I was always a normal person. So if they felt that I was friendless, which is ridiculous, that would make me abnormal. So putting this together, if they can't accept reality and they want to substitute humans with robots, AI, things so that they don't have to interact with regular people, they're the friendless ones. If I were acted as a normal child when I was a child, but at 50 I'm not acting that way, then I was the normal one. If this was about getting more and more people involved in a fight, that's gang. That's a gang. I mean, like, come on. At what point do we get to a point where we say these are normal things? So just now they said I just did an Italian hand movement. No, I didn't. This, you know, that's another thing. They keep getting upset when I talk about how they dislike certain groups, and I think they dislike New Yorkers because I think that they don't want New York to have the same feeling New York had when I was growing up. New York had different neighborhoods, different groups living here, and they keep going back to, well, didn't this group fight? Didn't that? We didn't always fight. But that's what they want. They want us always at each other. They just said at each other's throats. No, they want each, always competing with one another. That's what it is. I think how I think this works is that they start out with a little reason and then they make it good bigger, 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 bigger until we start to dislike different groups. So it could be like a small thing, like I told you about my coworker and I shopping together. And they would just go on and on and on and on and on and on and make it so big that it would turn into an argument or a fight. That's what this is about. This isn't about accepting regular human emotion and saying it's perfectly normal to feel such and such and such. It's about, why do you feel that way? That's wrong to feel that way. You know what? We don't need you anymore. Go. We'll replace you with a robot. And that's part of what I think this transhumanism is. It's about not wanting to deal with the hurt people feel. You know, the human emotion, the human suffering, the needs, the human needs, because those are harder to deal with. It's so much easier than to say, well, we don't want you. You call in sick or you get sick on the job, we don't want you. We'll put an automated machine there, and that way it'll work better. It doesn't. I said in a previous video, there are so many problems with computers, but most of all, computers can't interact with a human being the way another human being can. So it can't make the types of connections, and this goes what I'm saying. We're talking about connections. Part of what they said in this is they said they couldn't get people to turn on me because I had been kind to them. That's a human being. You see how easy it is for us to say, I hate the computer, I hate this thing, because you can argue with that, against that, and it doesn't have a connection to you. We're not connected to these objects. But it's very hard in human life to be around another human being and not feel some sort of connection. But these people obviously can't feel any connection to me. They've been doing this to me for years, and they can't feel any sort of human compassion for me. It's sad. Thank you for watching.